Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson, here on the Saturday edition of the Yard. You know, I told you we had a change in the schedule this week, and so we're going to knock out a Saturday show. We won't go as long as normal because your good friend and host is kind of pressed for time. I had to get up this morning. Had a pretty good night's sleep, I will say, and then had to get up and write a quick article for genespage.com. And we'll be back at the ball yard here in just a couple of hours. And so we're going to have a shorter show today. We won't do a top 10 list today. I just didn't have time to kind of get all that together. So I do apologize for those of you that are fans of the top 10 list. But we're going to talk about a couple of Mississippi State sporting events that happened on yesterday. One good and one not so good. And one great, shall we say. One great and one not so good. Of course, I'm in Lexington. It is very cold here. And I want to give a tip of the cap to all the Bulldog fans that turned out and braved the cold to support the Diamond Dogs last night. We didn't get the result we were hoping to get, but nevertheless, those of you that turned out, I would submit to say there were probably as many Mississippi State fans as there were Kentucky fans last night, and there weren't many of either, to be quite frank with you. I look at the box score right now. They say the attendance was 1,646. I can assure you that is incorrect. There is no way there were 1,600 people at the ball game last night. Really, really cold. The weather is listed as cold and damp. That is an understatement, to say the least. But give the folks at Kentucky some credit. I thought that the field was ready to go, but it's a turf field everywhere but the mounds. There's not a lot of work to do. Nevertheless, not necessarily the best weather for baseball. And I thought all things being told, it was a pretty good game. Competition-wise, wasn't the best conditions, but I thought both teams came out and played pretty well. I mean, there were times pitching was somewhat of an adventure for both teams, and we're going to get into that here a little bit later in the show. But first off, let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company. I love Bulldog Burger Company. I've loved them longer than they've loved me, but they do love me. They do, and I love them right back. And as I told you, I was in there earlier this week. I get in there probably once every couple of weeks. Some weeks a little more often than that when I have friends that come to town. They say, hey, Steve, let's go try out Bulldog Burger Company. Or maybe they're already raving fans of Bulldog Burger Company, and so they come with me. And so all that said, 3 great locations to serve you: University Drive in Stark Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, and in Lake Harbor Drive in the Ridge and Flowwood area. Coming up next Wednesday on 22nd, going to have the Tap Takeover. Going to be a pretty cool thing as the folks from Memphis come in. Going to be a great event. That's 5 to 8. Tap Takeover at the Tupelo location of Bulldog Burger Company. Go by and check it out. They're going to have some free gifts. And, of course, some very unique beer for those of you that partake in such. I'm retired from all that, so I'm living vicariously through you. So I need a lot of you to go so you can come back and tell me how great it was. While you're there, have a great restaurant-quality hamburger. You'll be glad you did. Get the spring rolls as your appetizer. They will make you and everybody around you better looking. It's in writing, so it's true. It's true. It's absolutely true. Get the chocolate shake to go, perhaps that bread pudding. I'm a proponent of dessert to go because I'm the kind of person, I need a palate cleanser every time I eat anyway. It doesn't matter what I have. I've got to have something to kind of clean things up a little bit there and get something sweet. I just do. Whether it be a mint, whether it be a chocolate shake, I have to have it. Maybe you're like me. Make the meal complete. Get the full course. Get the appetizer. Get a great restaurant quality burger. And then get dessert too. You deserve it. You do. I don't care what anybody else says. Don't listen to them. You deserve it. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet. M-E-A-T. All right. Our first story, our biggest story. The Mississippi State ladies become the first team to win a play-in game and then win a first-round game in the NCAA tournament. So great development last night. Robbie and I were keeping up with the game. We sat next to each other. Robbie up here, of course, covering for us and the Starkville Daily. And had the game up, and we kind of, in between pitches, we're kind of looking to see what the ladies are doing. The Bulldogs come out hot. It's a 25-16 first quarter. And I'm sitting there telling Robbie, I was like, my gosh, look at how well we're shooting. Man, we might get 25 points this first quarter. Run off and leave them. And we did. And I thought our athleticism really overwhelmed Creighton. State also wins the second quarter by just 1 point there, but it's a 10-point lead at the break, 47-37. And the mark of a good team is to make the halftime adjustment and come out. We knew that Creighton would come out and try to do their thing. They have their worst quarter of offensive execution of the ball game. State pushes the lead then to 20 points after an 18-8 quarter. And then Creighton finally gets over a little bit there in the fourth quarter. They get a 21-16 quarter, but at this point the game had been decided. We were already celebrating at that point, as we should. The difference in this game, 3-point shooting. And we talked about that. This is a Creighton team. It doesn't have a lot of length and have a lot of size inside. We knew Jessica Carter needed to have a big game for us. She did. But really the difference in this ball game, your ladies 11 of 19 from 3. And Creighton 9 of 34. State's athleticism really bothered them on the perimeter. We talked about Lauren Jensen kind of being the straw that stirs the drink. She had a big night, 22 points. And really outside of that, there wasn't a lot to go around. Emma Ronziak had 21. Nobody else in double figures. 2 players are not going to beat 5. That's just how life works. But a great effort. And let's get a little more in depth here in the ball game. Jerkayla Jordan, 20 points for her. Jessica Carter, 14 points, 10 rebounds, a double-double. You take that every time. Anastasia Hayes also with 12 and 5 rebounds. Alana Smith with 10. And Azanae Johnson with 10. So 5 players for the Bulldogs scored double figures, and Debris Chapeau 9. So we nearly had 6 scores. It was very much a team win. The ladies pulled down 37 rebounds. You knew there was a size advantage there. Just if you didn't get these long rebounds, and there were a bunch of those on the offensive end. 33 rebounds for Creighton, 11 of those offensive rebounds. But it just never felt like, even from the early stages of this game, that Creighton was going to be able to compete with Mississippi State. So you've got an 11 seed beating a 6 seed. Let's take a quick look here. Really, we usually talk about the end of a game. I thought this game, for the most part, was decided early on. State comes out, hits a 3-pointer on the first possession, and then Morgan Malley misses one for Creighton. So they weren't able to answer. And then Poe with another 3. And then Emma Ronziak makes one. It's a 6-3 ball game. Anastasia Hayes then pitches in with a 3. So 3 consecutive possessions, 3 out of 4 possessions for the Bulldogs end with a 3-point basket. And I thought that set a very, very good tone. Jerkayla Jordan gets one too. Now it's a 12-7 ball game, but it's one of those things too. It's not just one player being hot. It is clear from the early stages of this game, not only is Mississippi State prepared, Mississippi State is executing. The lead swells to 9 points as Ramani Parker makes a jumper in the paint to make it a 16-7 game. And at this point, I think we all realize, hey, we're good to go. We just got to continue to play here. Wholesale substitutions. We're doing a really good job here, kind of rotating. The lead goes back to 7 as Azanae Johnson makes a jumper with just under the 3-minute mark. And again, Creighton's doing what they do, trying to get this thing going, and these shots are contested. They did get some open looks. They did knock some of those down, but by and large, State did a good job defending the perimeter. We get a foul down low. Jessica Carter makes a pair of free throws, pushes it up to 9. Then the lead again goes all the way back out to 11 at 1:46 to go as Azanae Johnson rams one home. And you begin to think now, this is just a hit parade. This is a Bulldog basketball team that is well coached. This is a Bulldog basketball team that is executing at a high level. You wondered how long they could keep it up. That was the real question. As you come out there and you lay a haymaker in the first quarter, can you keep it going? And really in the second quarter, the ladies not only maintained the lead, they expanded it. I mean, Jerkayla Jordan hits a pair of free throws to push it to 13. Anastasia Hayes' jumper just at around the 5.5-minute mark makes it a 15-point ball game, and it feels like State's about to run away with this thing. It gets as high as 17 after Alana Smith makes her own 3-point basket. And it's like, my word, we're red hot and we're not slowing down. And it just seemed to be our night. Just over 2 minutes to go, State still maintains a 17-point lead. And from there, I guess they cut it down at some point to single digits. And then State responds. But there was really no question, even at the break, who was going to win this game. You say, you know what, it's only a 10-point game, Steve. Anything can happen in college basketball, especially on the women's side. But I thought we really, in that third quarter, the decisive third quarter, State did such a great job kind of ratcheting up the pressure defensively, really contesting these shots. I mean, we're going down here, kind of looking at this. It's 3 consecutive three-point baskets that are missed by Creighton. It's one of those things when you're trying to carve in a lead and you're trying to stay in a ball game, you do what you do. You do what you do best. And State was taking that away from the Lady Blue Jays. Right around the 6-minute mark, it's an 11-point game. They finally make a 3-point basket. Finally, right? And we're nearly midway through the period. And then State gets out on a fast break and immediately pushes it back out to a 13-point game. But it's another missed 3 from Lauren Jensen. Another missed 3 from Emma Ronziak. And so it's like there seemed to be a sense of desperation with Creighton because the shots simply weren't falling. And they were for the Bulldogs. It's a 17-point game, and they missed their 5th consecutive 3-point basket. And finally, make one with three to go. But it's a 17-point lead. Of course, State didn't push it out to 20. But it's like State beat Creighton at their own game. It's like, yes, we have a good post game. Yes, Jessica Carter is somebody you can't match up with. But we're out here defending your threes, and then our threes are falling. And again, you get through this third quarter, and it made the fourth feel largely academic. I think that's how we all kind of felt here. It is a 20-point game heading into the fourth quarter. And that's it. That's how it ends. And so your Bulldogs advance in the tournament, and now 22-10 overall. Creighton's season ends 12-9. They are a 15-5 team in the Big East. And so now your ladies will get ready to prepare to play again, a rematch against Notre Dame. Maybe we can get Morgan Williams to be the honorary captain. We owe the Fighting Irish. There's no question about that. We absolutely owe them. Of course, the stakes aren't quite as high. But the reality of it is they won an AFL championship. I think we all know what happened. Morgan Williams was mugged in the half court in a game that State was about to win. And ultimately that sets up a game-winning shot, one of the biggest shots in NCAA women's basketball history. And we were on the losing end of that. So congratulations to Sam Purcell, his entire staff, and your Lady Bulldogs. And I think if we're being honest with ourselves, I think most of us felt beginning of the year that our women would advance farther than the men. And it's not in any way to say anything negative about the men. I think most of us felt we'd be a strong NIT team, hope to make the tournament. We do. We get beat in the play-in game. The ladies have now won 2 games and are now in the round of 32 with a chance to go to the Sweet 16. And so let's get ready to preview a little bit of this Notre Dame team. And my phone is nearly dead. You have to forgive me. We did not bring a box. The wife is on the way to the store right now to remedy that. But since we're not going to do a top 10 today, we're going to have Blair Chandler is going to sponsor our preview of Notre Dame. All right, so closeblair.com. Be sure and check it out. If you have needs in the mortgage industry, you have a friend in the industry. That's Blair Chandler. He's my friend, your friend, a friend to everybody in need. Blair's number is 601-500-2344. Again, that's 601-500-2344. Or visit him on the World Wide Web at closewithblair.com. That's C-L-O-S-E with Blair, B-L-A-I-R.com. And mention to him you heard about him on the Boneyard. He's going to pay for your appraisal. How cool is that? It's about a $500 value. A lot of people want your business. Blair's willing to prove it. Top 1% close ratio in the country in back-to-back years. Works for Fairway Mortgage, a very reputable mortgage lender that was recently voted number 1 in customer satisfaction when it comes to mortgage loan origination. That's closewithblair.com. Okay. Yes, I am salty about us losing to Notre Dame. I was there. Many of you were as well. It was our year, and they stole it from us. One of those deals, too, we look back and we wonder if we'll ever get that close again. I don't know if we will. But perhaps we can get a bit of a measure of revenge here if we can get a W here against Notre Dame. And they were impressive yesterday. Didn't get a chance to watch the game, but you look at the numbers here. Robbie and I did talk about it. He was able to watch it a little bit. Notre Dame, good game for them as they beat Southern Utah 82-56. Now let's take a quick look at what kind of year it's been for the Fighting Irish. Muffet McGraw has retired, so it's a completely new regime up there. But they begin the year, put together a pretty sizable win streak here. They win their first 5. They get into the ACC Big Ten Challenge. They lose to Maryland in South Bend by a couple. They bounce back, and they beat UConn. Now, UConn's not what they have been, but they're still UConn. They beat UConn, and they absolutely destroy Merrimack College, and again put together a really nice winning streak here. Let's see here. After they lost to Maryland, they put together 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. They lose to North Carolina in Chapel Hill. And they bounce back again and put together a 5-game winning streak, 4-game winning streak, 5. Yeah, it's 5. They lose to NC State in Raleigh, beat Boston College, lose to Duke in South Bend, take care of Pitt, Syracuse, Louisville in overtime, blast Pitt by 40, beat Georgia Tech, they beat Louisville, and they get in the ACC tournament. They beat NC State and lose to Louisville, and that game was not good, 64-38. But the thing that you notice is that they just, when they do lose, they don't magnify that and have a losing streak, right? They rebound. So 26-5 overall, 15-3 in their conference, 14-2 at home, 8-2 in true road games, and 4-1 in neutral games. This is a good team. Don't get me wrong, it is. We're going to have to play well. They played well yesterday, and let's be honest about that. I mean, you're hosting Southern Utah in your home arena. You better play well. And they advance. And, you're kind of looking at the numbers here from yesterday. Again, 82-56 is your final. That was the afternoon game prior to ours. But Notre Dame just really all over Southern Utah from the outset, 27-10 first quarter, and then 16-14 at the break. And so the game is essentially decided at the break. And then Notre Dame comes out in the third quarter and really removes all doubt with another 27-point quarter. Give Southern Utah some credit if they win the fourth quarter by 2, right? So congratulations on that. But, you start looking at Notre Dame's numbers here. It's just one of these deals you start thinking, okay, well, they're missing some players. They've lost a couple of guards this year, but, 4 players in double digits. Maddie Westbeld with 20, Sonia Citron with 14, Lauren Epo with 14, Kylie Watson with 12. KK Bransford, the 5th starter, had 9 points. So nearly all 5 starters in double figures. And again, this just really wasn't much of a game. So we're going to have to play our best basketball. And it's not to say that we haven't played some teams comparable to Notre Dame. We're certainly capable of going in there and winning this game. It's difficult to go on the road to win in the SEC. It is in the ACC as well. This is a Notre Dame team. Obviously, it's been very, very good at home. So we're going to have to bring our best effort. That's going to be absolutely, paramount for us. We can't go out there and play and then kind of hope they're going to give us the game. That's just not going to be the case. Now, Olivia Miles is done for the tournament. All-American guard. That's 14.3 points a game. It's gone. So, what do we do? What do we do? How do we handle this? Sonia Citrigan, now the leading scorer, now averaging 14.7 points a game. But Olivia Miles, that is a significant loss. And, of course, we're better than Southern Utah, as we should be. And so I think most people would favor Notre Dame in this game, but I have learned not to doubt Sam Purcell and our ladies. I do think it's going to be a very difficult undertaking. But we're going to have to come out there and probably get a big start like we did yesterday. We're going to have to come out there, not survive the first quarter. We probably need to come out punching. Looking at the splits for Notre Dame this year, they have outscored their opponents in every quarter. Every quarter. There's never a weak quarter. Probably the closest, I guess, that it gets is maybe the second quarter. And they're still outscoring their opponents by 120. I guess the third quarter's not. They score a bunch of points in the third quarter, but they also allow a little bit too after his halftime adjustments. First quarters have been a little bit interesting for them, but that they're a team that scores in bunches. They scored 2,326 points this year. Their opponent's just 1,820. Looks like if you can get them to overtime, maybe you got a chance. But again, this is a very, very good team. It's one of these teams that averaging 75 points a game, only allowing 58.7. So obviously a very good defensive team. Notre Dame is a national brand. They do recruit at a high level. They're a team that's been pretty good at 3 too. There's 31%. maybe not jacking it up like Creighton, but they're a team that can make you pay. But they're just averaging, just over 4 3-point baskets a game. It's not like it's a huge part of their offense, but they do enough just to keep you honest. Free throw percentage as a team, 71%. Not great, not bad. Rebounding, they're plus 10 on the year. And dishing out just nearly 17 assists. So, again, this is going to be a cohesive unit that gets out there and plays for sure. And their steals, they're 8.5 a game, allowing 7.5, so it's just plus 1 there. But, again, not a ton of blocks here. It's just one of these teams that they spread you out and make you pay. So I'm interested to see what we do. Of course, we'll play that game tomorrow, and we'll recap it on Monday. But I'm excited for the ladies because I feel like, listen, I don't know if we ever recapture what we had in our Vic. I don't know that. I don't. None of us do. But it's good to see the ladies winning again. Because we went decades without anything. And then, Sharon Fanning comes around, and all of a sudden we become a good team in the Southeastern Conference. In some years, we were a great team in the Southeastern Conference. And then Vic Schaefer built upon that. And I think we all thought, hey, we never expected to be in this position. We never thought we'd be a women's basketball school, but here we are, and we love it. Everybody was wearing the shirts. Everybody was bringing their kids to games. It was fun because we expected to win. And I remember, I think it was Brian Haydad that said this must be what Alabama football feels like, right? Because every time you take the floor, you're going to win. And it was fun. Now, this year I haven't had that feeling that every time we take the floor, we're going to win. But the fact that we're in an NCAA tournament and we've won a couple of games, especially after what these young ladies have endured the last 2 years. Some of them are transfers, so they haven't been here with us the entire time. But, people forget, the Nikki McRae-Penson year, abysmal. It was, on and off the court. It was a mess. Then Nikki resigns. Staff does a good job last year. We just kind of run out of gas, playing most games with 6 to 7 players. And so it's good to see the ladies that have endured all that experience some success. And how much fun was it to watch the video of them putting their name down in the bracket. They're representing me and you. They're representing Mississippi State, the university that we hold in such high regard and esteem and love. And so I'm proud of them. I hope the journey continues. But I think in many respects, as much as we want them to win, we probably have exceeded or at least met every goal we had. We wanted to make the tournament. We were hoping to not be in the play-in game and maybe win a game or two. Well, we've done that. And so I think at this point, we're playing with house money. I think if we're all honest with ourselves, this is not a national championship caliber team, right? We don't expect to get to the Final Four. Not to mention the fact the bracket we're in is very unforgiving, right? Just kind of part of how it all works. But I think it's okay to be pretty giddy about all this point. I mean, it's like, for some people, this is somewhat unexpected. I think it's okay for us to want and expect more. I don't think we should say, well, it was so great. It all happened. It was all great when it happened under Vic, but we'll never have that again. And I don't know that we will. But it still doesn't mean that it doesn't mean we can't have some success, some measure of success. And I think, hey, I'd love to be able to hang some more Sweet 16 or better banners in Humphrey Coliseum. Some maroon and some white. But looking at our side of the bracket here, of course, if you win this game against Notre Dame, then you play the winner of the Arizona-Maryland game. That's a 2-7 game. Arizona, of course, takes care of West Virginia 75-62, and then Maryland destroys Holy Cross 93-61. So the winners of that game, the winner of those games, will play the winner of Mississippi State Notre Dame. I think most people are expecting that to be Notre Dame. Wouldn't it be nice to throw a little fly in the ointment there? But to get beyond that, of course, you're asking an awful lot. You're asking an awful lot. So, hey, if we can beat Notre Dame and get to the Sweet 16, I think that is an absolute best-case scenario for us. But no matter how that ball game goes on Sunday, I'm going to be proud of these ladies and proud of this team. I know you all share that same sentiment because we didn't realize what we had until we lost it, and now we miss it. And it's nice to know that we have a little something to be proud of again on the women's basketball side. So, I said at the beginning of the year that I thought we'd hired the right 2 coaches. They have proven us all correct. Those of us that have put our our respect and support behind these coaches, and we're going to be able to hang a couple of banners. And yes, I get it. People are going to say, well, those are participation trophies. You know what? When you think about what men's and women's basketball has been through the last few years, the fact that we're going to be able to hang an NCAA tournament banner, and we should expect more, but in year one, for both of these coaches to make the tournament, and then for Sam Purcell and his staff to win a couple of games, that's outstanding. It is. And again, I think we can all feel good kind of moving forward, because I believe we've identified the individuals to help Mississippi State basketball become not only relevant, but challengers within this league, and I think probably tough outs in the NCAA tournament. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart. Campus Bookmart are a Starkvillian institution. The Bully Shop has been completely renovated. Go by and check them out today. Everything's on the first floor now. They're no longer in the textbook business, so it's allowed them to expand their selection of Mississippi State merchandise. Best selection in the known universe. You get Bulldogs doing a great job for Bulldogs, and I'm a big proponent of doing business with Mississippi State people whenever I can. I want to keep it in the family. If I given down to it, if I got to make a decision between two businesses, and I know that they're Bulldogs that own and operate one of them, they're getting the nod from me, and that's what you get at Campus Bookmart. It's a business full of Mississippi State folks, knowing what you're looking for, working hard to get the best Mississippi State merchandise for each and every one of you. I thank Miss Kathy Brown for that. She is a wonderful person, does such a great job procuring fine merchandise for us to decorate our homes with and to wear and represent Mississippi State. You're not going to find anybody doing a better job. If you can't make it to town to see their smiling faces, visit them on the World Wide Web, courtesy of Al Gore's Internet at campusbookmart.net. And by being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a phrase that pays, and that is BSR, which stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. That'll get you free shipping on all orders over $75. Any order less than $75, absolutely incomplete. All right, let's jump into this baseball game. Of course, I'm here and disappointed, obviously. Was really disappointed in the first inning. And I expected, I told you guys I thought we'd win 2 out of 3. Friday was a game I was worried about, even though Gerangelo was pitching. SEC on the road, you think, well, it's going to be a big atmosphere. There's not a big atmosphere here in Kentucky, even during the best of times. There certainly wasn't last night in this 30-degree weather. But we had a very difficult first inning. But give the kid credit. He had that terrible first inning, and then he came back and threw up zeros the rest of his outing. Bullpen comes in and is good, just wasn't quite good enough. And it's not just about pitching. It's not just about defense. Bulldogs didn't make a single error last night. We talk about playing clean. We played good defense. We did. Made a couple plays that were outstanding, a couple that Kentucky people were upset about. I thought Lane Forsythe's really good. Second base, at short. Made a couple plays up the middle that I don't think a lot of people could make. But let's break down the game here, and we'll kind of move forward. Again, we'll be back with you on Monday. We'll recap games 2 and 3, and, of course, we'll talk a little bit about the women's game. But top of 1, Mississippi State goes 1-2-3. Monty Leary flies out. Ledbetter grounds out to third. Chance flies out of center field, and we're running some counts up a little bit. We're putting the ball in play, and even though we went to 1-2-3, I thought, eventually we'll get to him. We'll get to him once we'll settle in here. And then we immediately go out there and basically give them the game in the bottom of 1. That's kind of how it felt, right? It's like even after 1 inning, you and I were thinking the same thing. We're going to lose this game. We're going to lose. And it goes back to something Luke Hancock told me on Wednesday. He goes, it's 27 innings of war, and everything can change in 1 inning. And I thought about that when this happened. I said, this is the defining the ending of this ball game, and in many respects it was. Even though State came back, you spot somebody 4 in the first, it's difficult to win that ball game. And so we hit Gray, and then we walk Felker, and then there's a single to left. The bases are loaded, nobody out. At this point they're going to score, right? It's just first inning, something's going to happen, whether it be a wild pitch or a sac fly. There's going to be a ground ball on the right side. They're going to get a run in here. So you're going to give up some runs. You just hope you can limit the damage. And what do? We hit Petrie. So now we've gotten a run forced in without the benefit of an out. Then we get a pop-up that Larry runs down. Everybody has to hold. Hey, Bulldog fans, you want to win like your dogs do? It all boils down to recruiting. It's not just about development. It all starts with recruiting. The same is true in business.
It's as simple as that. You need to recruit more MVPs to be a part of your business to help you win. Because if you're hiring, you need Indeed, because Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. It's probably their best feature. Indeed is the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applicants that meet your must-have requirements, or else you don't even have to pay. Instead of spending hours upon hours combing through multiple job sites, hoping to find the right candidates with the right skills, you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. That's Indeed. They partner with you every step of the process, find great talent through time-saving tools like the Indeed Instant Match assessments and virtual interviews. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates with resumes on Indeed that match your specific job description, and you can invite them to apply right away. Plus, you only pay for the quality applications that meet your requirements. How about that? Recruiting's never been easier. Start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/boneyard. That offer is valid through March 31st. Go to Indeed.com/boneyard to claim your $75 credit before March 31st. Again, that's Indeed.com/boneyard. Some terms and conditions apply. But you need to hire, you need Indeed. Be sure and check them out today. You'll be absolutely glad you did.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
And then you think, okay, hey, we're a pitch away from getting out of this. If we can roll up a ground ball here, we can limit the damage to one run. And then Waldschmidt singles to right, 2-run score. It's 3-0. And then they run a little bunt play here and give them credit for it. This was after that long situation here where the umpire didn't know the rule. So let me reiterate what the rule is, okay? It's a different deal. And so Gerangelo is a both-handed pitcher, right? That's well established. The hitter has to declare first. So once the hitter steps into the batter's box, he is now establishing, I'm going to hit from the right side or left side. You can't change with any bat. Neither can a pitcher. So he has to declare. So he does. And then Gerangelo changes the side of the glove. And then they tag us with a delay and give us a 1-ball count. Then the hitter wanted to hit from the other side. Well, the bat's already begun. So Lamonis comes out, complains, not only did we not know the rules as the crew on the field, we had to do an actual review and call Birmingham and get it confirmed. So they made the hitter go back and hit from the left side. And then during this crazy delay, Nick Mingione, that crafty joker, decides, hey, let's surprise them here. They run the bunt, and sure enough, they get the run home. I thought it was a great play there. I'm a fan of the short game. I like people that kind of put pressure on defenses. The run scores. We get Ewell to strike out swinging. But it's a 4-0 ball game, and I turned to my wife and I said, it's a long game, a lot of baseball left. I did worry about the conditions a little bit. It's like, you get in a big hole like that early, and you think at some point they're going to score again, but there's still 8 innings left to play. Stay goes 1, 2, 3 in the second. Excuse me, yeah. Again, I'm losing track here. I'm on my laptop, so. All right, top of second, Hancock singles to left. Highfield K swing, and then Hines grounds out to the third baseman. They force the language here is wrong. So we ground out, and the only play is to first. Hancock takes second, and then Kellum strikes out swinging. If I can ever get all this correct. All right, Gerangelo comes back and gets a 1, 2, 3 inning in the second. You get Smith, who's a 9-hole hitter, to strike out swinging. Leadoff hitter Gray flies out to center. Felker out to left. Memory serves me correct. This was a 9-pitch inning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-pitch inning. 7-pitch inning. There we go. So good bounce back inning for him. And it allows State, again, you kind of hold the game in place. Slade Alford, who has really struggled at the plate as of late, gets a single back up the middle. Lane strikes out swinging, and Larry grounds out to short. The only play is to first. Alford takes second. Ledbetter walks after a lengthy at bat here. And then Bryce Chance walks. And then Hancock walks. Highfield eventually grounds out to second. The run scores on the walk. But guys, we're doing a great job of managing the game here. Like, I read a lot of stuff. Like, a lot of people have these hot takes, and they're hot only because they're stupid. But we've got a guy out there as a strike thrower. Prior to the game, Darren Williams had struck out 17 and walked just 1. Okay, well, he walks 3 in the inning here, and we had 5 full counts. You talk about running a pitch count up, that's what it is. And when you've got a guy like that is going to pound the zone, especially under these conditions, you've got to make him throw pitches. We did. And this should have been a bigger inning than it was, but at least we got on the board here, and we ran his pitch count up. I remember yesterday, I think it was 38 pitches in the inning. I think that's right. Bottom of third, we're within 3. Gerangelo comes out, gets a line out to second. We walk, pass ball, then there's a K swinging, and then we get a ground out to the pitcher. So, yes, we work around a 1-out walk here, but we put ourselves back on offense very quickly. And all of a sudden you start thinking, hey, yeah, we're only down 3. Hines is out first. At first, it'll ground out to first or to third of the pitcher. And then Kellum on an 0-2 pitch. Williams catches too much at the plate here. And we knew it was going off the bat. Now, all of a sudden, it's a 4-2 ball game. You're thinking, hey, if we can keep posting some zeros, we got a chance here. Slade Alford comes up and singles back up the middle, and it's good to see him using the middle of the field. I think sometimes he gets himself in trouble trying to pull too much. Lane then reaches on a fielder's choice. They do force Slade there at second, and kind of the same thing happens with Larry. But you look at this and you say, hey, we put a couple balls in play here. One of them went over the fence. We're within 2. If Gerangelo can go out there and get us another 0, we got a chance. Now, the kid here struggles a little bit. You walk the 8-hole hitter, you walk the 7-hole hitter, and then the 8 guy. We couldn't finish Ewell. And Ewell obviously was big later in this ball game. So here's the book on Ewell, Kendall Ewell. It's at Kentucky. He transferred from Eastern Kentucky. And he's played only 6 games this year. He's been injured. But talking to Kentucky people, they believe he is actually their best hitter, which is saying something. They said he had a great fall, he had a great spring, he got injured, and they wanted to get him back for SEC play. Guys, this is a 10-pitch at bat here with Gerangelo, who had been cruising pretty good here, right? But you walk McCoy, and then Ewell works and works and works and works and works, and fouls off 4 2-strike pitches, and then ultimately walks. So now you've got runners at first and second. They get the sack bunt down. Runners now second, third, and then we walk to load the bases. So 3 walks in the inning, and you generally don't live to tell the tale when you walk 3 in an inning. But we give up nothing. He gets Felker to strike out swinging, and then Burks flies out. It's a little short fly ball out there that Larry runs down. So give the kid a lot of credit for pitching himself into trouble and then getting himself out of trouble. But again, I go back to that at bat with Ewell. There's nothing more frustrating for a pitcher outside of a bad umpire than when you can't finish a guy. And you got a guy up there and he keeps fouling balls off. You throw the breaking ball, he fouls it off. You throw the fastball, he fouls it off. Throw the changeup, fouls it off. And that's kind of what happened with Ewell here. He kept everything that Gerangelo threw, he's able to foul it off. And sometimes you got to punt. I know some people would say, oh, you hate to lose him right there. I mean, how many pitches do you want to throw? When you've got a guy up there that you know you can't finish, how many pitches are you going to throw? Sometimes you just got to throw something out of his zone, hope he chases it. And that was the case here, and he didn't. But we're able to navigate through 3 walks in the inning without giving up runs. And I thought, you know what, this could be a turning point in the ball game for us. Even though Gerangelo wasn't great in that half inning, he finished up really strong, showed some real moxie and some courage, and got through that inning without surrendering a run. And then his offense pays off for him here in the 5th. Ledbetter grounds out. I really thought this ball was foul initially, and I think Colton did too. And it ends up being a little dribbler down the line. They throw him out at first. Bryce Chance singles to left. Hancock reaches on a fielder's choice, and there's an error that pulls the second baseman or the shortstop off the bag at second. So everybody's saved, and they walk Ross Highfield to load the bases. They bring in Byers in place of Williams. And again, Williams is out of this ball game because of that big inning. We forced 5 full counts. and ran his pitch count up. So we got him out of the ball game, which is huge. And then right out of the gate, they called this a throwing error. I did not agree with it. Okay, I did not agree with the scoring. Nobody asked me to vote on this, but it's an excuse me type swing. Hunter Hines, it's basically a swing and bunt here. They weren't going to get him. They call a throwing error here, and I think they're just trying to protect the pitcher, to be quite honest with you. I think they're trying to protect ERAs by calling this an error. And again, I didn't get to see a good replay. But he wasn't going to get him. And so, yeah, he may have thrown the ball offline there. But, that was not a routine play by any stretch of the imagination. At the end of the day, State gets a run home, everybody's safe. Kellum Clark then comes up there. There's a lot of our fans, again, with the hot takes, that don't have a good opinion about Kellum Clark. They don't know a lot about baseball either. Kellum's done this multiple times this year. He gets behind an account. Of course, his approach right here, right? If I'm stepping up here with the bases loaded in a one-run ball game, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm looking for something to elevate. It may not be a home run, but I'm thinking, hey, maybe I can get an RBI sac fly here, and it ties the ball game. Maybe I get a line drive somewhere, but I'm looking for something I can handle, right? So he gets down 0-2 here, fouls 2 balls off. Then he has to shorten the stride a little bit and take a 2-strike approach. We talk about the people, beating our chest, with the 2 strikes to recognize what we're in. We had a really silly discussion about that recently over at genespage.com. And Kellum Clark with a 2-strike approach, what does he do? Just kind of gets the bat head out there, throws his hands out there, and singles back up the middle. 2-run score, makes it a 5-4 ball game. So Kellum Clark, in 2 of his first 3 at-bats, has 3 RBI. And he has pulled your Bulldogs back into the lead. And now all of a sudden you start thinking, hey, it's a ball game again, right? We've gotten their starter out of the game. We're able to get on base a little bit here. We got traffic on the bases. They go ahead and bring in Mason Moore, who is one of their best pitchers. He gets Slate to strike out swinging. They do walk Forsythe to load the bases again. You think, okay, we've got a Monty Larry up here. A little duck snort anywhere. We can break this thing open and give him more credit. He gets the strikeout swinging. Gerangelo comes back out and rewards the offense by posting a 1-2-3 inning. He gets Petrie, who's a tough out. That's a guy that doesn't strike out. We get him to ground out to short. Gilliam strikes out looking. Waldschmidt strikes out looking. And you think, man, bring him back out for the 6th, right? Our top of 6, Ledbetter infield single here. And I really thought this is when the game changed. This inning right here is when I think the momentum for us offensively really changed. We had them on the ropes. And give Mason Moore some credit. He came in and threw water on the fire for Kentucky. But this inning here, we get the leadoff guy on. We sack him to second. And so you've got, an important insurance run here, and we can't do anything with him. We don't. We end up actually, getting Ledbetter in a rundown, so it kind of negates the whole deal, of us surrendering the bunt. I've never been a big proponent in middle innings of playing for 1. But under these circumstances, with the weather the way that it was and the sun going down and it getting colder, I thought, okay, let's play for 1 here because of the way that we're pitching. And the way they're pitching, runs may be at a premium. So if you can squeeze 1 across here, it could be a big deal. We don't do anything with it. Ross ends up flying out to right to end the inning. We bring in Casey Hunt here. I was intrigued about the move. And I thought, you know what, maybe you don't give Gerangelo another inning. But as good as he was in the 5th, I don't know that I wouldn't have given him 1 in the 6th. But Casey comes in as a good job. Gets McCoy to strike out swinging. Ewell strikes out looking. And if memory serves me correct, Casey got him on the breaking ball. Smith, we walked the 9-hole hitter, and 2 out walks of the 9-hole hitter are not just satanic. They are straight from the pits of hell. Walking the 9-hole hitter with 2 outs, that's losing baseball. Fortunately, didn't hurt us. We get a ground out to first to end the inning on a full count. And so we go top of 7. And State goes 1-2-3, and this is what we scratch and claw and finally get a lead. And next thing you know, I guess they retired 8 in a row after the sac bunt. It's crazy. All right, so Hines strikes out swinging, Clark lines out to left, and then Alford strikes out swinging. Pretty meek attempt there on the 3rd swing there. And give Mason Moore some credit for that. He had us guessing a little bit, and so we took some swings that were not necessarily competitive swings. Casey's back out in the 7th. We get an 0-2 count, and we catch way too much of the plate here, and then Felker doubles down the line and left. So now all of a sudden the tying run's on board with nobody out. KC, rather than fold, refuses to yield. Strikeout swinging. There is a wild pitch that moves that runner to third. We're able to navigate that. Petrie flies out to shortstop. We get basically a pop-up there. Runner can't advance. And then we get Gilliam to strike out swinging. At this point, Gilliam was, 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. All right, top of 8. I think it's right. Top of 8. Lane strikes out swinging. Larry grounds out to third. Ledbetter walks on a 4-pitch at bat. And then Chance strikes out looking. Mason Moore is shutting us down. This kid's shoving right here. And I was worried. At this point, I'm thinking, man, we really need to find a way to get another run here. Because I don't think that 5 is going to be enough to win it. Bottom of 8. We give KC one more, and I've seen so many people have some discussions about this. Well, you should have given Nate a clean inning. I understand that argument, but to play devil's advocate, what if KC could have finished the ball game, and then we don't have to use Nate on Friday? And listen, I get it. Winning Friday is so incredibly important. When you can steal a Friday road win, you got to do it. I would have absolutely sent KC back out for the 8th. I would have given him one hitter, which is what we did, and he ends up walking him. And then you bring in Nate. He gets a K swinging, and of course, you give a stolen base part of this deal here. But and then you get the 9-hole hitter, right? You got Nate against their 9-hole hitter, and it's a 1-2 count. And you think, we're going to finish this guy. We end up throwing a ball, and what do? Kind of like the Kellum Clark thing. He just kind of throws a bat head out here and pushes it back up the middle, and the run scores. But there's a lot to this. It's not just the walk, right? It's not just the walk. It's giving up the stolen base. The stolen base is what sets this whole thing up here. You give up the walk, and you get a K, and then you get a stolen base, and you get the K, and you're thinking, okay, if this guy's at first base, it doesn't matter about the single. And so it all works together. Every at-bat matters. We always talk about it. It never comes down to one pitch. It absolutely does not. It never comes down to one pitch, no matter what anybody says, does, or thinks. These are the type of things that get you beat. You give up a leadoff walk, and you give up a stolen base, and we weren't even competitive on a throw. And then the 9-hole hitter. Just the bat finds the ball. Totally the case. And it's like, again, we go back to this. I go back to the 6th and 7th innings offensively. We didn't do anything. All right, top of 9, it's a tie ball game. Hancock grounds out to short. Highfield strikes out looking. Then Hines singles to right field. And then Clark walks. And all of a sudden, you got a little something going here. We pinch run here for Hines to put David Mershon. I've even seen people being critical of this. I absolutely disagree with you here. Hunter Hines, loved the kid to death. Not going to win a foot race against anybody on the team. Okay? So you have the go-ahead run at second. David Mershon can run. Now, all of a sudden, any ball that bleeds through the infield, he's going to score from second. Hunter Hines is not going to do that. You're going to have to play station-to-station baseball more times than not with Hunter. And again, that's not being critical. That's just a reality of life. He's not a fleet merchant, or speed merchant, excuse me. Slade Alford then reaches on an error here, and the bases are loaded. They bring in Chavez for more, and Lane grounds out to third. And good play by the third baseman there. But again, here we are in the 9th with the bases loaded and a chance to take the lead, and we can't do it. We didn't even get the ball out of the infield, even though we reach on an error by the shortstop. But the reality of it is when you've got to go-ahead run there at second with less than 2 outs, you got to get him home. And we don't. Not good situational hitting by any stretch of the imagination. All right, bottom of 9, Nate comes out, gets a 1-2-3 inning. We get a strikeout swinging, and a ground out to short. You got Petrie just ground out. That guy's not the typical 4-hole hitter, but, man, that guy's a tough out. All right, top of 10, Chavez is shoving, man. He is. Top of 10, they strike out the side here. And this isn't like we went and got 3 pinch hitters. Amani Larry strikes out swinging. Ledbetter strikes out swinging. Chance strikes out looking. The momentum in this game had clearly shifted. It just really felt like it was a matter of time before we were going to lose, and lose we did. So Gilliam, who we talked about before, 0 for 4 with 3 Ks, and he comes up and he singles to left. And listen, it wouldn't be the last inning with Nate without a runner on. I mean, that's just kind of how it's been. I mean, that's not a criticism of him. It's just how things work. They get the sack bunt down, moves the runner to second. Now, I really thought this next at bat with McCoy was very significant. Gilliam's at second, right? So it's a fly ball to right, and he doesn't tag. And so it's a non-productive out. And I thought to myself at the time, I was like, this is significant. Kellum runs it down, makes a great play, and the runner's still stranded at second. I'm thinking, hey, this is huge because, he's not at third, right? So now all of a sudden you can be real aggressive with your pitching. What do? We have a wild pitch and move him to third. So it negates the advantage you gain, but really a base running mistake. And I don't know how fleet of foot Gilliam is, and maybe that's what they were thinking. We don't want to run the risk of getting thrown out at third here and ending the game. But I thought it was significant that they didn't advance a runner, and then we gift them third base. That kind of stuff just irritates me. It absolutely irritates me to no end. And then it's a wild pitch. And I go back to, because many of us forget about this. We talked about Ewell, right? So he fouls the first pitch back, and the wild pitch moves the runner to third. And then we get a called strike 2, and then it's a foul ball. So it's a 1-2 count. You got some room to work with here. And listen, I knew as sure as I was sitting there, we're going to throw a breaking ball. And a lot of people are like, oh, why would we do that? Guys, we're not going to lower the hurdles, okay? We're not going to change the game. We're not going to dumb the game down. The bottom line is this. Nate Dome has to execute that pitch. Ross Highfield has to keep that pitch in front of him. We are SEC players playing in the toughest league in all of America. We can't go up there and just throw BP. We can't just go up there. But, Steve, we should have thrown a fastball. Well, we threw a fastball to pitch at 4, and he fouled it straight back. So what if we throw a fastball and he hits a line drive to left and the run scores anyway? Now all of a sudden it's, well, why didn't we throw a breaking ball? I mean, the gift of hindsight is a beautiful thing, right? But the reality of it is Ross Highfield is going to be a first-round draft pick someday, okay? Ross has got to keep that ball in front of him. And Nate's got to give him a chance. I mean, that slider, guys, that's in the other batter's box. It's in the other batter's box. And it wasn't even a competitive pitch. And Nate will tell you the same. Nate is an ace, man. Nate is our relief ace. And he made a mistake. And it's compounded by the fact you got a freshman catcher back there. And someone said, well, Steve, I question the wisdom. Guys, this is not high school baseball. It's not. And not to mention the fact the book on Ewell is that he can't hit a slider. Talking to Kentucky people last night in the box was that, here comes a slider. He's not going to be able to hit it. Sure enough, he didn't. And then we get a later at bat, and what we've already learned that this kid can handle the slider. We throw a slider, and it just happens to go wild. It was the right call. You may disagree, but that's the baseball play. When you have a guy on the ropes that has already fouled the fastball straight back, you throw him something with some bend on it. And you've got to trust that your catcher can make the play. You've got to trust your pitcher can make the play. That's baseball. That's how baseball works. You don't get in a situation where it's like, well, I'm so afraid we might make a mistake. Let's not take a chance here. You got to play to win. And we didn't. We lost. And it sucks. It does. It absolutely sucks. Our final segment of the show brought to you by our friends at Portico. If you're looking to move to Starkville, and I encourage you to do that, come be my neighbor. As long as you're not my close neighbor. Come be a part of this. Listen, if I was moving to Starkville now, I'd move to Portico. I'd love to be that close to campus, 1.1 miles away from all things maroon. Brooks' phone number is 601-416-8075. Again, that's 601-416-8075. In Portico, listen, easy to get to. Turn off 82 on a 12. Take the very first right. It's Pat Station Road. Go through the four-way stop. There's Portico on the right-hand side. You can start with a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home, go all the way up to a 4-bedroom, 4-bath home. You'll be glad you did. Whether it's your ballgame weekend retreat or your primary residence, Portico has a place for you. Reach out to Brooks for more information. You'll be glad you did. Make Portico your next move. All right, looking ahead to today. We got to win. We absolutely have to win. And before we get into what's going to happen today for Mississippi State, let's take a quick look around the league last night. Many of you I know have kept up with these numbers with great interest over the last couple of days. But sometimes it's tough to keep up, so that's why your good friend and host is here. Okay, so let's look at last night's numbers. And again, busy weekend. Everybody in the league is opening SEC play. All right, so Florida had a much different ball game with Alabama on Friday. You know, Florida wins game one of that series 3-0 on Thursday. Florida takes the series 8-7. 8-7 with a walk-off, if memory serves me correct. And then how about the Missouri Tigers, man? Missouri beats Tennessee 9-1. Now, everybody's got to believe that Tony Vitello and that team have the Harlem Globetrotters as an offense. One run. And maybe Beezer's got it turned around up there at Columbia. I don't know. But that's a loud win right there. We talked about we needed Missouri to take one. They have. Goodness, now I'm rooting for them to take a series. Arkansas hosting Auburn gets a Game 1 win, 7-2. Of course, State loses 6-5 on a walk-off wild pitch. Craziness. LSU beats A&M 9-0. Paul Skeens outstanding for the Tigers. And again, that's every time we mention the name, we think about we should have had him. Vanderbilt shuts out Ole Miss 8-0. Nearly 10-run rolled them again. They have outscored Ole Miss 20-2 through 2 ball games and have taken the first 2 games of the series. And listen, Vanderbilt, give them some credit. They have not been putting up big runs. So here's the deal. Is this an indictment on the Ole Miss pitching staff, or has this Vanderbilt offense been kind of laying in the reeds? Interesting. And I do see here, I did miss this. So it looks like Alabama and Florida played 2 yesterday. So Alabama salvages 1 game of the weekend. So I missed that. So I apologize. So Alabama wins game 2. So Florida takes a series 2-3, and they're done. They get an extra day to rest. Good for them. They started a day early. They finished 2 days early. All right, so today's schedule, and it all gets started 1 p.m. Eastern. Vanderbilt will be looking for the sweep against Ole Miss. And as much as we don't like Vanderbilt and all their scholarship situation, I think we know where our rooting interest probably lies here. Vanderbilt's coming to State next weekend. You know, maybe we can control our own destiny there and kind of get after those guys. And of course, State and Kentucky, we'll be headed to the ballpark here shortly. That is a 2 p.m. local start, 1 p.m. Mississippi State. South Carolina's at Georgia. LSU, of course, at A&M looking to take the series. Arkansas, of course, looking to take a series from Auburn. And South Carolina and Georgia will play a doubleheader today. So that's all interesting. But now State's got to come out here and play clean. Landon Gartman is going today. We moved him up a game. You know, ordinarily he's been the Sunday starter. Last weekend when we had the doubleheader, we moved him to game 1 and threw Graham Eintema in game 3. That's the plan this time too, even though it looks like we're not playing a doubleheader today. If we are, it's going to be a surprise because nobody's told us. But the Bulldogs got to go out there and play clean today. Again, no errors yesterday. Yeah, it's just one of those things you look at and you begin to think, you know, we out-hit them in the ball game, and like you out-hit them, you outplayed them on defense, and then in the end, you couldn't execute in the late innings on the mound. And again, it's not just about, it's a team loss, right? It's not just about, okay, well, Nate threw this ball and Ross didn't catch it, or Ross didn't block it up. I mean, how many opportunities did we have at the plate after that big 5th inning when we took the lead? We didn't do anything the rest of the game. We didn't score the rest of the game. I submit to you, when you don't score in the final 5 innings of a ball game, more times than not, you lose. That's just kind of how baseball works. So we need Landon Gartman to go out there and give us a good start. I do think that we'll be ready to go today. It is a day game. It is cold here. It is windy here. And the wind was blowing out last night, and there was 1 home run hit. I think it might be a little bit different today without having that, you know, the night air, but we'll see. It's a little bit thicker at night out here, but we'll see how things go. I don't expect home run derby, but I've been wrong before. Listen, that's going to do it for today. We'll be back on Monday with a full 90-minute show. Again, we're kind of pressed for time today, so wanted to give you guys what we had. I do expect State to win today. I think Landon is a guy. State has won every start that Landon Gartman has had this year. While he is just 1-0, State is 4-0 when Landon Gartman starts a ball game. And this is kind of, I hate to say a free swinging team for Kentucky, but there's a lot of swing and miss in this order. And you kind of saw some of that last night. I mean, these are some guys that they have a tendency to overswing a little bit. And so I think Gartman's changeup could play really well today. But it's got to be a situation, too, where we're disciplined with that, where we're actually throwing it for a strike. You can't just get out there and hope that everybody chases. You've got to be able to go out there and throw the breaking stuff and the change-up stuff for a strike. But, looking at last night, the pitching numbers, State struck out 13 times, Kentucky struck out 15 times. So it's like we struck them out more. We played better defense than they did, and we still managed to lose the ball game. And we talk about walks. We walk 7, they walk 7, so it's kind of a moot point in that respect. And Geronsolo did hit a couple of guys early. And again, you go back and you think about that first inning, if you had that back, but isn't that really the case in every baseball game? There's always the one inning that you wish you had back that perhaps kind of unraveled. I'm sure Kentucky pitching would love to have that 5th inning back when we had Williams on the ropes and Kellum Clark comes through there. But again, we'll be back on Monday to recap the women's game against Notre Dame and, of course, the rest of the weekend in Kentucky. We thank you for your support, your patronage of genespage.com. Be sure and go check us out today, and I want to get this up for you guys as quickly as possible. So we're going to do this, and we'll have full coverage of today's game at genespage.com. We make all that stuff free. That's the videos, the interviews, everything. You don't have to be a member to read that content, but you certainly should be. If you hadn't done so, go to dogpilethebook.com. You get all my sports books there. It's Dogpile, Alpha Dogs, Flim Flam, and Stark Billings. Blooms of Oleander, available through Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, BooksAMillion.com, or through your local bookstore. Stark Villains gear always available at StarkVillains.com. And as always, the best home for Mississippi State sports fans is GenesPage.com. Nobody bringing you better coverage of Mississippi State athletics than Genes Page. Until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.